I like knives. I like whittling. And I like talking. Started making a slingshot. Here's another one. It was a very nice fork. Didn't need too much shaping. Mostly here on this left fork. And I drilled out the pith with an auger so I can put pins in there. Strengthen it up. Make it look cool. Here's a spatula I made a couple of years ago out of a piece of maple firewood. That was while we were living in the Michigan UP. The year before that, this maybe 3 years old now, some dead branch I found out in the woods while we were traveling. I think we were in Nebraska. Still has a little bit of the pith in there, so it cracks. So this one might really be just about finished. Maybe I'll polish it up and retire it. Some chopsticks. One is maple and one's oak. This spoon has a bit of a backstory. Maybe one for another time, but it's a Baltic curly maple. Making this one for my wife. Just been working on it today with a variety of knives. This one's really good. It's a flex cut spoon carving jack. They come really sharp. Probably the best factory edge I've ever seen. The knife blade is also quite unusual and interesting. Especially for spoon carving. Works well for getting into your corners there. So there's definitely some crossover in the spoon carving and the slingshot whittling. You can use these guys. Well, no, not that one maybe so much, but the one I was using before. Oops. This is seasoned beech. It's pretty tough. I'll give up on that cut. So, Scandi grind. Great for this kind of thing. Especially if you have this kind of sloyd knife with a thin point on it. That'll help you to get into these bits here. Otherwise, you know, a Warncliffe is very good for this job. Possibly still the best. Kind of weird whittling through the camera, but I'm getting used to it now. This is what it's like whittling in the metaverse. So I just reground this a bit on the Tormac. The wheel is a little bit larger in diameter than the original wheel, so I raised the shoulders and thinned it out down here. I've had this one for a while, since 2006. And then a few years later, the point snapped off, which I was very sad about at the time. But actually, this kind of sodbuster type curl on the point there is very good for some things, like doing some scraping in this bowl here. Couldn't have done that with the point that was on it before. It works really well for scraping. I don't know whether this would have been still 420 or 440 in the early 2000s, but whatever it is, yeah, it was pretty brittle because the point snapped off. We were in a camper van and we drove off with the knife unlocked, and so that caused the point to snap. But yeah, I got good brittle metal like this done down to this hollow grind here. It's scrapes really well, like nobody's business. I've been scraping on it for a while now, so it is losing its edge a little bit. Now here we have my EOS Urchin, the Nitro V steel, which I basically reground into a full convex. So it's a high Sabervex grind on that one. And even though this, you know, you consider that this bevel goes from here to here, right? And this bevel goes from here to here. And yet, also, you know, the points, this one definitely has more of a point on it. But it will actually whittle perhaps even better than this one here, because this is a very flat grind. It's flat, so it doesn't give you a lot of, you know, whereas this is very convex. Yeah, that's doing a great job. That's killing it. Because it's so thin, you know, you can dig this in a lot. Now you can also dig this in potentially even more. The problem with this one is then coming back out again. See, now I'm dug in. Well, if we're following the grain, that's okay. Actually, that's working great too. Wow. But yeah, what you will find is that this will tend to dig in a lot, and you can't steer it out so well, you know, which just stands to reason, because it's hollow. Yeah, just cuts right in, and there's no, comes up to this shoulder. Now, the more that you round this shoulder out, then that'll help if you're in an open enough curve for that to make a difference. Yeah? Now down here, we're not on the shoulder, and down here it's kind of flattening out the grind, and I'm doing that deliberately. Thanks for watching.